and running on a fabulous, easy for me to say. I didn't know what I was going to say. I was going to start just saying Friday, then I said fabulous, and then it just came out mumbling. So it's Friday, and we're fired up. That's Jonathan Von Tobel. I'm Tim Murray. Every NBA team, at least the organization, can't say that every star is going to be playing later on this evening, so we will get to that. We've got the Masters going on, second round action as Scottie Scheffler has the lead. He is 7 under, and I'll say this, hasn't looked spectacular, and yet he still leads the Masters at 7 under. He's 1 under through 12 holes today. Does have 2 bogeys. Yesterday had a bogey-free round. Bryson DeChambeau struggled down the back 9 as he had a bogey on 14, bogey on 18, and DeChambeau heads into the weekend currently tied for second at 6 under. And Max Homa today a 71 and on the back 9, 1 bogey and finished the day 2 birdies, 1 bogey. Max Homa heads into the weekend also tied for second. So a handful of golfers still out there finishing up their round, including the aforementioned leader, Scottie Scheffler. We've got playoff implications for the NHL, UFC 300 here in town, and JVT's going to Alien Ant Farm tonight. Man, it's going to be a big night.
What a day. I will say this, the numbers never lie. They are great things. We talked yesterday about the Masters, right? Like, hey, a guy like Bryson DeChambeau, you're going to be able to keep this up. Nearly 3.7 strokes gained putting for the round yesterday, right? Today, 0.23. And only a 1 over for the day. So when you're insanely hot with something like that, tends to kind of wear off. You're going to be able to do it, and it turned out that you weren't able to keep that up. Scottie Scheffler was kind of right around where he was last round. I'm a little excited for the weekend.
You've been hit by a smooth criminal.
In terms of his putting in strokes gained.
They have other songs in that?
A little. Yes, they got a couple. I used to listen to them on my Walkman all the time. Had a CD. Same thing with Max Homa, too. So I'll be interested to see how this plays out over the weekend. We talked a little bit about like a gap forming, not necessarily the case after the leaders had a little bit of a quiet day. As you mentioned, Scheffler only 1 under for the day, Homa only 1 under for the day, DeChambeau 1 over, and then you get some other guys that are floating around that 4 under, 3 under mark. So looks like we're going to have a fun one, at least going into tomorrow for the most part. We do have a couple of guys still out there. Matt Fitzpatrick is 2 under through 12, so you can make some run here, make this pretty interesting. Patrick Cantlay, Cam Smith, and Sepp Straka all at 1 under at 14, 13, and 10 in terms of where they're through right now. So those guys can make a little bit of run and make this a little bit tighter too. So Saturday looks like it could be a pretty good day here. Can't wait to see what's going to happen.
A couple guys that we bet that are doing...
I mean, they're playing golf.
They're there. Cam Young, he might be the best one that I have backed. And by I just... stole other people at VSiN's bets. Mm-hmm. Cam Young is 1 under. He shot a 73 today, so he's T9. My guy Xander Schauffele out there letting me down like he normally does. He is currently 1 over for the day. He's T23. Brooks Koepka also T28. Tiger Woods, I did not bet on Tiger Woods, but he made the cut. So well done by Tiger Woods. I was curious. We talked about yesterday, how will he hold up? It looked like he was in pain every single shot that he had out there. But, for Tiger, finished up round 1 early this morning and then went out there and shot a 72, which, all things considered today with the scores that have been coming in, pretty good score. For today. He had 4 bogeys, but also 4 birdies in his round today. So he shot a 72 today. Tiger Woods will be playing this weekend. And I think that begs the question, and Wes Reynolds going to join us in the final hour of the show when everything's wrapped up and we hopefully have some scores and matchups to hit on. But Tiger Woods, is he someone that, I know there was an overwhelming consensus on fading him in matchups in the Masters. Couple that I saw in town versus Phil Mickelson. That got bet up. Right now, Phil Mickelson is still out there. He is 2 over, so very close in that matchup if you played Phil Mickelson. And the other one was Gary Woodland, who you were watching today. Gary Woodland, whew, man, that was the wind got a hold of one of Gary Woodland's balls today.
Yeah, so his ball flew 40 feet away on the 16. It was there on the green, and just whoop, the wind just got it, and it took it away about 40 feet. So, yeah, it was pretty tough. By the way, how does Tiger miss? We talked about this, right? How do you make the cut in 24 consecutive Masters? Didn't he withdraw from one?
Yeah, he withdrew last year.
Yeah, so I guess that record stands, but I put an asterisk on it in my personal record book.
A couple guys who will not be playing this weekend of note. Dustin Johnson. He shot a 79 today, and Dustin Johnson is currently tied for 85th out of 89 golfers. I believe his price to miss the cut was plus 320 at Circa. So Dustin Johnson not going to be playing this weekend as plus 275 was his price to miss the cut. Also, Jordan Spieth not going to be playing this weekend either.
Yeah, no, it looks like that maybe that wrist injury was bothering Jordan Spieth more than I anticipated because, I've got something on him both outright and to make the cut. Sahith Theegala, one of the guys that I have as well. He is 4 over. For our competition...
Well, you got Scotty.
I've got Scotty, and I've got, I think I've got Brooks that's going to just make the cut as well. So that's going to be enough to potentially help me win this with us. But in terms of wagers that I've actually made... I'm going to watch this weekend, but I'm not going to be sweating anything out, that's for sure.
Yeah, my only hopes are a couple top 20s come home. Joaquin Niemann had a tough day today. He shot a 6 over. He's actually still out there, so I have a top 20 on him. Hideki Matsuyama, hopefully he can make the cut. Yep. He sits at 4 over. The projected cut line is currently 5 over, so it looks like Hideki Matsuyama, if he can finish this round out at even par, should make the cut. But, yeah, I would say my crew there, John Rahm, he's falling apart here today. John Rahm, he's right on the cut line. He's 4 over, so I would say you're in pretty good shape to take care of business to win another friendly competition, as Rory McIlroy also sitting at 3 over par. So not looking great. By the way, if you're wondering, the Masters price right now on Scotty Scheffler is plus 125 at DraftKings. So that has been fluctuating a little bit today as Scotty Scheffler currently sits at 7 under. But I'm not exactly sure where he is at on the 13th right now. But he is through 12 holes at 7 under par. All right, a lot to get to. Lawrence Holmes from 670 The Score going to join us in studio coming up in about 5 minutes or so. We will get his thoughts on Caleb Williams. What will the Bears do at number 9? So a lot to get to with Lawrence Holmes here a little bit later on. Johnny Lazarus, our VSiN hockey analyst, will join us later on this hour as well. Best bets at the bottom of the hour. Every team tonight in the NBA is in action. A lot of teams resting players. But for you, JVT, when you look at the card tonight, there are certainly a couple intriguing spots when you look at, teams, both sides needing to play for potential seeding. Phoenix and Sacramento is certainly a fascinating one. That one late night New Orleans and Golden State. Golden State laying 4. So 2 late night games that have a lot of importance for both sides of the matchup. Right now, Phoenix currently has the 7 seed. They would need to win out and need the Pelicans to lose one of their final 2 games. Phoenix does have the tiebreaker of head-to-head against the Pelicans, so Phoenix still has a shot to get the 6th seed and avoid the play-in tournament. And then Sacramento, they play Phoenix tonight. If they lose, they could be in some trouble and could potentially drop all the way to the 10 seed in the play-in tournament.
Yeah, and as we talked about last night when it came to Sacramento and in that matchup against New Orleans, where, if you looked at it, and their form wasn't even great, but if you really dug into Sacramento's recent form, it wasn't awesome. When you get a win in a cover over Brooklyn, you're handed a cover by Boston when you're down by 19 in that fourth quarter, and then you kind of zoom out and you realize, if you really take that at face value, this team's somewhere around 3-5 in their last 8 against the number. Of course, that's also straight up as well. A team that, of course, is missing depth when we talk about Malik Monk and Kevin Huerter and beat up there. So I think that when you're looking at Sacramento, it's not a team that I believe to be trustworthy at this point right now. Having said that, we watched the Phoenix Suns fight tooth and nail with Bones Highland, Amir Coffey, and others for the Los Angeles Clippers on the second leg of a back-to-back after they were embarrassed on their home court by a somewhat full-strength Los Angeles Clippers squad. So neither of these teams, I think, is at a point right now where I'm chomping at the bit to back them. Neither of them are in very good form. One is due to injury. One is just due to poor play. So if you wanted to come in here and back Phoenix, we totally understand it because at the very least from a health standpoint, this is the team in better form. They have the rest advantage, but you haven't seen anything from Phoenix that would make them trustworthy at this point. So for me, it would be another one of these games, Tim, and I'll be fully honest, like, this is the penultimate day of the regular season, day off tomorrow, and then the last day of the regular season's on Sunday. For me, it's going to be these last 2 days, just sit back and watch these things unfold. Outside of Sunday, I like to do on the last day of the regular season, throw those money line parlays together of the teams that need to do something to get in or whatever it is. But outside of that, these teams, the way they're playing, the playoff mode, it should be the flow playoff nature of some of these games. I think it behooves a lot of bettors at this point of the season to hop in game on some of these angles as opposed to jumping in pre-flop, especially when there's some questions about availability.
What is wild, though, on the Eastern Conference side, so a lot of the intrigue lies 6 through 10 on the Western Conference. Who will get the final playoff spot? What will be the seeding for the play-in tournament 8 through 10? How about the Orlando Magic, who were in contention for the 2 seed earlier this week, and they could drop all the way to the 8th seed if things go wrong this week. They're an underdog tonight against Philadelphia. They just unveiled a statue for Allen Iverson outside of
a little itty-bitty statue.
It was very small, but how about that? Orlando, to think about maybe being on the road in the play-in tournament? Wow.
Yeah, well, and the tough part is it's an unfortunate injury. Franz Wagner gets hurt, and that's kind of a big deal for a team that's inconsistent offensively. By the way, Joel Embiid questionable. Kyle Lowry is going to play, so we're just waiting to see what's going to happen with Embiid.
Caleb Williams, we know he's locked in at the number 1 pick, but who could the Chicago Bears target at number 9? We'll get all the latest details. Lawrence Holmes from 670 The Score joins us in studio next.
This is VSiN PrimeTime with Tim Murray and Jonathan Von Tobel on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
VSiN.com/splits. Check it out. You get free betting splits data, of course, courtesy of DraftKings. No subscription required, folks. So if you want to use it as part of your handicapping arsenal throughout the day, check it out now. VSiN.com/splits. It's the perfect day to do it. Lot of baseball later in the evening. VSiN.com/splits.
We got a 3-way tie atop the leaderboard in Augusta as Scotty Scheffler, a bogey on 13. So his third bogey of the day. He is through 13. Max Homa and Bryson DeChambeau in the clubhouse right now at 6 under par. We'll keep you updated. We might do a little Food Network breakdown of some Masters sandwiches live from Circa here a little bit later on. And a gentleman who may or may not have tasted them up at Stadium Swim. He's been doing his show the past couple of days. From 670, The Score, it is Lawrence Holmes who joins us here in studio. So, beautiful day outside. We got to ask, don't have to spend too much time on it. Did you taste any of the Masters cuisine up at Stadium Swim?
No, I didn't. And the reason is because I was full on other stuff. They brought us everything. And that's why I love Circa. Like, they brought us breakfast burritos. And then our PD made a run to the donut hole, which was like down the street. I'm a donut connoisseur. Like, it's legit like one of my favorite things. These donuts were elite.
Hopefully, watch this transition. Hopefully, like the quarterback in Chicago moving forward. There we go.
What's the best donut? That's what I want to know. Like, I'm not talking about place. I'm talking about like just the best donut, period.
I mean, I'm becoming partial to like West Coast maple old fashioned.
There you go.
I love a maple donut.
Yeah, like, and it's weird because whether I'm in Vegas, Phoenix, or out in California, I find that those are the best places for that particular donut.
Okay, I like it.
All right. Well,
the East Coast bagel of donuts, the West Coast maple donut.
There it is.
Maple donut.
I agree with that.
I'm all in. Lawrence Holmes, 670 The Score, joining us here. You can catch his show from 10 to 2 p.m. Central Time. All of you watching on Marquee Network there in Chicago. Let's get to the number 1 overall pick. There is, I don't imagine, much discussion there. We had Brad Biggs on, it feels like a month or two ago, and we just said, are they picking Caleb Williams? Says, yes. I'm like, okay. But I'm curious. Shane Waldron comes in to be the new OC. Caleb Williams will be the selection. Overall, what's your feel? What's the fan base's feel of Caleb Williams headed to Chicago?
Well, the war is over. I mean, there are still people in Chicago that have wished Justin Fields well. I'm one of those people. I hope he does really well in Pittsburgh because he was a good citizen of the city and I think wasn't given a fair chance to succeed. but that's over.
Right.
Now everything is moving towards Caleb Williams as it should. He's exciting. The types of plays that he can make, the off-platform stuff. And it's interesting, like now when we start talking about Caleb Williams, the pushback has been like, no, the off-platform stuff is great. He's also great in structure. I love the hiring of Shane Waldron because it could have worked for either quarterback. If they were going to stick with Justin Fields, I like the chances of it succeeding. And the reason, and someone said, my friend Carmen Vitale, who works for Fox Sports, said this, that he doesn't call plays, he calls games. And it's very different. It's a very different thing. The way that Geno Smith resurrected his career, that is largely in part to Shane Waldron, and I think Pete Carroll helping to rebuild his confidence. So I think people are excited. Like, it's funny. Now we can kind of change our perspective onto what the Bears do at number 9,
right?
Because everyone knows what's happening at number 1.
So that's what I was going to ask is, what is 9? A lot of the mocks say wide receiver. I would assume edge is still in question as well. So what do you think they do at 9?
So I'm not going to say wide receiver. I'm going to say pass catcher.
Okay.
And the reason
Brock
I'm going to say there it is.
Okay.
If you look at Shane Waldron's,
Even with Cole Kmet?
Yeah, but look at Shane Waldron's system. He makes a living with tight ends. So why not have 2 athletic tight ends? Sure. If Brock Bowers is available, they can't really go wrong. The way that people act about quarterbacks, we're going to see a quarterback ascend that'll probably knock down one of the pass catchers or the edge rushers. There are no bad choices. Even trading down for the Bears is not a bad choice. So they'll have their pick of what they want to do. The Keenan Allen move to me feels like a 1-year deal. So why not get another wide receiver or pass catcher? Because I don't suspect that they'll bring him back. Maybe they will. But as Keenan proved with L.A., he's not taking any discounts. That man is still productive, and he wants to get paid, and he deserves it. So it makes sense for the Bears. If they want to go wide receiver, it makes sense. I'm here for Brock Bowers if he's available at 9.
By the way, we just showed you a graphic at DraftKings. The Bears to select Brock Bowers sits at 10-1. I think he'll be available. It'll be interesting to see if they decide to pull the trigger. Maybe they trade down a little bit.
I mean, they could go offensive line there, too. Like, if
they did last
Joe
year.
Alt is there, maybe you make that move. There's a lot of different directions. And for the first time in a long time, I think people are excited about the process of the Bears picking a player that's not just 3 or 4 years out, but someone that can help them in their pursuit of maybe being a playoff team next year.
Well, and that's what I wanted to get to. Lawrence Holmes, 670 The Score. Make sure you check out his show, middays there on 670 The Score from 10 to 2 p.m. Central Time. Is you look at this division, and the Lions make the run that they did last year. Hell of a year there for that squad. It seems like the Vikings are in a bit of rebuild. You get rid of Kirk Cousins, and we'll see what they do with the quarterback position moving forward. The Packers seem to be ascending, which I know does not make the Bears fans very happy, as Jordan Love's owners.
It's very frustrating that they may have gotten another one.
I know it is.
Can you believe that? I can't. I want.
So I do daily radio in Milwaukee, and I yell at Mike, the co-host of the show, every single day because they're always complaining. I'm like, do you realize how lucky you are? Yep. You had Hall of Famer. I don't know if Jordan Love's going to be a Hall of Famer, but he looks pretty darn good.
He had a stretch where he went 22 touchdowns and 1 interception.
Yeah.
Like, it's terrifying to people in Chicago that they may have found another one. And the weird thing, I was joking about this with listeners of The Score, is he might have the best of both worlds of Favre and Rodgers. He's very, like, the way that he works in the pocket is similar to Rodgers. He's also fearless like Favre. That fearlessness got him in trouble in the playoff game. But you see, like, wow, what a great job was done in getting LaFleur really did a nice job of bringing him along.
Yeah, no doubt. But you look at the Bears right now, and they have to, your fan base has to be excited about it. So what's the thought of Eberflus? Because there was questions. Should he stay? Should he go? Ryan Poles, this is what, year 3 for Poles?
Well, to me, Poles bought himself time because he's going to draft Caleb Williams, right? I feel like that buys him 3 years. Eberflus, on the other hand, they need to make the playoffs this year.
Wow.
I think that the players really helped keep him in place. I thought that he did a great job of, as the play caller, getting to know the players on a different level than just as kind of a CEO head coach. And I think that those players went to bat for him, especially on the defensive side. But now is that next step. You know, and now, I mean, they had to fire pretty much an entire offensive staff that he had hired coming in 2 years ago. Now you got to make that move, and they're giving you everything that you need, including a quarterback. So this is a big year for Matt Eberflus.
Do you think that turnaround defensively post-Sweat was real?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's funny. You could kind of see it before Sweat was coming. Their back five, to me, is top-notch. Like, they've done a great job drafting. Tyreek Stevenson, I think, can be a very special player. But they've got bodies now that you can put in the back. What they did in free agency with their linebackers last year, I thought was excellent. Only thing that they're missing is the thing that Matt Eberflus has been begging for. Get me a 3 technique. Get me another edge rusher. If they get Montez Sweat an opportunity where he can get some one-on-ones, he's going to wreak havoc. Either one of those positions, I think, offers them an opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
Couple quick hitters before we let you run. Lawrence Holmes from 670 to the score.
Bet the under on the White Sox win total.
Adjusted win total under. Go on that. Let's flip to the team that people care about in that city. The Cubs. Do they win the division?
Coming into the season, I felt like the Cubs didn't do quite enough, but they're getting some real growth. Christopher Morel, I think, is a special hitting talent. He's trying to learn how to play third base. It feels like, to me, the Cubs have said they think that hiring the right manager is worth 5 or 6 wins. And Craig Counsell has already done some magic. That lineup is great. They're looking at a lot of pitches. I think that if it comes down to it, the Cubs didn't spend a lot of money in free agency. I think if it comes down to the trade deadline and them going over the CBT, I think that they're going to make a move. If they need something and they feel like they're close, I think that they'll do it, because I think that this is a year where they can not just sneak into the playoffs, but win the Central Division.
What's the latest on Steele? When's he coming back?
Well, they're starting to work on him, and you're asking the right questions. Yeah. It's not just a Steele injury. It's the fact that Kyle Hendricks has looked rough early on in this season. Hopefully he's going to be okay. But Ben Brown, the kid that they brought up after Steele got injured, really impressive. I think his stuff plays at the major league level, and I'm curious if when Jamison Tyone comes back, what they'll do with Brown. I think he's a starter, and I would keep him there.
Lawrence Holmes, catch him on 670 The Score weekdays from 10 to 2 p.m. Central Time. Cubs right now plus 195 to win the NL Central.
This is VSiN Primetime with Tim Murray and Jonathan Von Tobel on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
VSiN.com, folks. Got a lot of great information up there, a lot of great content. Can't wait to dig through most of it. Haven't yet, but we do have some good stuff, like Adam Burke at his Major League Baseball best bets today. Full card late tonight, so make sure you check that out. You get insight onto NBA and NHL betting strategies for the postseason. NBA season ends on Sunday. How about that today, the penultimate day of action? You can find out all that and more. Check it out at VSiN.com.
Crikey! Cam Smith just had a bogey on 13. What do you think? No?
Not offensive in any way.
What? Australians? They get mad at you for saying that?
Nah. I'm gonna let you dig your own grave here.
All right. Cam Smith, bogey on 13 as he sits at 1 under par. Scotty Scheffler still your favorite at plus 125. Hasn't been the best day for Scotty Scheffler as he sits at 6 under, 3 bogeys, 3 birdies so far today for Scotty Scheffler. After yesterday, he had a bogey-free round, so a bogey on the par 5 13 just a little while ago. Bryson DeChambeau and Max Homa both in the clubhouse right now at 6 under par.
Got breaking news.
What do you got?
Brandon Ayuk of the San Francisco 49ers.
Still there?
Has unfollowed the San Francisco 49ers.
All right, see if we can get Stats Guerrera on the phone. That's huge. Does he get traded? What do we think?
I mean,
dude,
what do we think?
You just unfollowed someone on social media.
I was going to say clearly.
Well, Justin Fields unfollowed the Bears. Bada bing, bada boom.
There
just a month later, he got traded.
Right. I unfollowed my ex, and there you go. Just a week later. It was all done. That's how you do it.
Going down the leaderboard, Nick Hogard sits at in fourth place. He's at 4 under. Colin Morikawa, good day for him at 2 under. The best round today, Ludwig Oberg went 3 under today, and he sits at 2 under for the tournament. He is tied for 7th, and that was someone who I know, was it Kelly or Wes? One of the two had him as the top debutant out there. So
I think Kelly had Wyndham, right? So probably Wes.
Still on the cut line, Victor Hovland just had a big birdie on 13 to get him on the right side of the cut line, as the projected cut is 5 over. Joaquin Niemann continues to stink it up. His back 9, bogey, double bogey, par, birdie, or excuse me, par, bogey, bogey, par, bogey. So has not been a great back 9 for Joaquin Niemann, as he is at 5 over par. Those on the wrong side of the cut list of note, Ricky Fowler sits at 6 over. John Rahm sits at 6 over. And for Rahm, he still has 4 holes to go. He needs at least a birdie down the stretch here, as he just double bogeyed 14. So last year's champ could miss the cut, as he sits at 6 over par. So a couple of notable names. We already mentioned Jordan Spieth. He will not be playing this weekend. He is in the clubhouse, 9 over par. And also Dustin Johnson, a 13 over. So they have all missed the cut. We have the updated odds right now. Scotty Scheffler sitting at plus 115. How about him to finish? Is that right? Top 10 minus 2,000? Seems a bit aggressive.
No, what can go wrong? Top 20 minus 20,000.
Yeah. Top 5 minus 600 for Scotty Scheffler. So we will get more on the Masters coming up in the third hour of the program when everything is wrapped up. Scotty Scheffler right now on the 14th with a par putt. He made it, so he remains 6 under through 14. So a 3-way tie remains at the Masters. Scheffler, DeChambeau, and Homa. Homa and DeChambeau both at plus 450.
Some news for you that you'll like.
Yes.
Denny Avdia will play today for the Washington Wizards. Jordan Poole will not. But Avdia, to me, is the more important aspect there. He's in.
Well, why do you mention that? Let's get to it. Our best bets.
I see you using an old style.
I'm giving you the keys to the kingdom.
Putting our money where our mouth is.
I like to live dangerously.
It's time for Best Bets.
Come on, Jerry, it's a lock.
Every NBA team is in action, and earlier this week that I placed my, I think, first NBA wager of the year, and it was a winner, and I said I was going to retire. I have come out of retirement after the Bucks beat the Celtics earlier this week, despite Giannis getting hurt in that game, and I'm going with my hometown Washington Wizards. What does Matt Newman's always say? Don't expect bad teams to do good things.
Don't ask bad teams to do good things for you. Yep.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what I'm doing here tonight. The Chicago Bulls have the number 9 spot locked up. They can't do any better, can't do any worse. So they are resting everybody, right, JVT? DeMar DeRozan,
yep.
He is not playing. Nikola Vucevic, he is not playing. Who else?
Alex Caruso is out. Andre Drummond is out. Go down the list. These guys aren't playing. Iota Sumu, not out. So, you are getting a lot of guys to rest. The Lizards will take on the Chicago Bulls with the C.5 team rolling out there this evening.
Don't let me down, hometown Wizards. Final home game of the season there at Capital One Arena. I mean, the hundreds and hundreds of people that will be quietly clapping during this game is going to be very discouraging for the Bulls. I think, all kidding aside, you have seen a little bit of life from this Wizards team.
Fought hard.
Fought hard against the Lakers. Beat the Bucks. Now, they are favored here tonight, which doesn't make me feel all that great, but we'll lay the cheap money line price, which just ticked up minus 130 now at DraftKings. But we will go money line, Washington Wizards. What could go wrong? Backing the second worst team in the NBA, but the Bulls have absolutely nothing to play for. So I'm dipping my toe into bizarre waters. I will be excited for the playoffs once we get the bracket rolling out. But that is my one bet for tonight. my hometown Wizards taking on the Chicago Bulls, the resting Chicago Bulls. I know no NBA plays for you tonight. You're going to sit back and watch and see how these things kind of play themselves out, JVT, but take us to the Diamond.
Yeah, let's go with a little bit of, I guess we'll call it late night for those of you who are over there on the East Coast and we're complaining about a 9:30 tip time. So this one's at 6:40 on a Friday night. You might not be able to stay up. But let's go with the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. Can't wait to watch this one transpire. Steven Matz is going to get the start for the Cards. You are going to oppose when Brandon Pfaadt. And we'll start with Pfaadt because on the surface, Tim, not looking great. 5.06 ERA over 2 starts, 10 2/3 of work. So you're thinking, like, all right, maybe Pfaadt's kind of falling apart here. It actually echoes his 5.72 ERA from a season ago. But if you dig a little bit deeper, maybe there's some things to like here about Pfaadt. 284 fielding independent. So kind of an indicator that, hey, maybe he's getting a little unlucky. Numbers on the surface pretty good in terms of strikeout rate for Pfaadt, 27.1% of opposing hitters. He has mowed down. He has only walked 2.1% of opponent hitters as well. Big issue for him is balls in play. Been working against him a little bit up to this point right now. 387 opponents are hitting on balls in play. But the big thing is, when you look at that, we talked about this yesterday with our guy, Hunter Brown, right?
Yep.
Which was, and I wrote about this in the article, if your batting average of balls in play is high, well, maybe you're getting a little unlucky. But if you dig a little bit deeper and you find that you're giving up a butt ton of hard contact, well, there's a reason why those balls are getting through. For Pfaadt, that's not really the case. A 31.3% hard hit rate so far this season. Hasn't really been giving up a ton of hard contact. I think if that starts to regress here against the St. Louis lineup that has been okay so far this season, I think he'll be able to settle down at home. And on the flip side, you do get Matt's. Matt's numbers actually indicate he's pitching pretty solid, but Arizona through the early portion of the season has been hitting lefties pretty well. Give it a shot here. First 5 to win. Arizona Diamondbacks even money at home against the St. Louis Cardinals.
All right.
Minus the half run, however you want to slice it up, but it's still even money.
Diamondbacks first 5 to win, as JVT mentioned, even money. And
plus 100. I know it annoys people, so I want to make sure I say it. Plus 100.
What is I always say even money.
Yeah, people get mad on gambling Twitter. You know how like they do that, and they're like, "Hey, you're not supposed to do that sort of thing."
Is that how they talk?
Yeah, when you say plus 100, you get people to say like, "You don't know what you're doing." So
okay.
I like to say plus 100 on purpose. I've said it a lot now. Plus 100.
And I am going with the Washington Wizards. What could go possibly wrong? Backing the second worst team in the NBA. This from Evan Abrams over at the Action Network.
Ooh.
There are 8 double-digit favorites today in the NBA. Most in a single day in 30 years. Lakers, Clippers, Thunder, Heat, Mavs, Wolves, Knicks, Nuggets. All double-digit favorites tonight. We should just put all 8 in a money line parlay. What could go wrong?
Yes. I agree with that sentiment 100%. What is the money line parlay here?
I don't know. We should put it together. Lakers, Clippers, Thunder, Heat, Mavs, Wolves, Knicks, Nuggets. We do it.
I was going to say, I'll do it, but I don't need you to be silent.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm going to put it together, but you kind of got silent there for a second. I was like, I'm going to need some time.
We do need
throw
to
this
talk.
together.
We can't just sit here and put in a money line parlay.
Can we play the violin?
We can play the intro to the best bets again. All right, once again, to recap our 2 best bets for tonight. Oh, you were going to play the Grand Salami, but...
Oh, yeah, we should note that, yeah. So the Grand Salami today, I was going to play that. I think it was 135, 134 and a half. There's actually quite a few games with the weather, a lot of wind blowing out like in a lot of these parks. However, game got canceled, numbers off, and now a lot of people like Britain's loser friend apparently was texting him and telling him about it. So now we can't do it. His words, not mine. His words, not mine.
All right. Johnny Lazarus, he's talking about the night on ice. He'll join us next.
This is VSiN Primetime with Tim Murray and Jonathan Von Tobel on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
New customers at DraftKings Sportsbook can turn $5 into $150 instantly. All they have to do is when they sign up, use the promo code VSiN, make a wager on any UFC 300 bet. How about that? Check it out now. Promo code VSiN when you sign up at DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
I'm sorry. I'm watching Alien Ant Farm's Smooth Criminal official music video because JVT will be taking them in live in person here tonight.
I don't know. After watching that music video, I don't know if I can.
Coming up top of the hour, we're going to taste some food. We're going to do
Was
it.
that 4?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
We're going to do it. How's the stomach?
I mean, I'm ready.
Ready.
The last thing I ate was some jerky and protein bar.
Now, I hope this doesn't affect the weigh-in come Monday, right, versus Dustin.
That's fine.
We got pimento cheese, which is not pimento and cheese. It's pimento cheese.
You're correct.
We've got the egg salad.
Yep.
We've got chicken club.
Yep.
And then I think there was one more.
Well, I think it's chicken salad.
Chicken salad.
and then ham and cheese. Yep.
Yeah. So all 4.
Just like, J-Lo, right? She goes to the bodega, gets the ham and cheese on a roll with the orange drink. If you know, you know. There you go.
Well, a gentleman who's going to be eating some fine cuisine in New York City.
I'm sure he's been at a bodega.
It is Johnny Lazarus who joins us right now on the phone. So joins us on our progressive guest line. Johnny, Eastern Conference in the NHL is fascinating, and unfortunately, my hometown Capitals, the bed yesterday, and JVT's beloved Detroit Red Wings did the same. How's this going to play out here, in your opinion, these final couple of playoff spots where it looks like the Islanders have gotten hot at the right time, and it certainly feels like the Penguins are going to get into the postseason here?
Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me, as always. We got to work on our timing. I think last time I had a date coming up. Tonight I'm at the Italian restaurant, so might have to start picking a night where I got nothing ahead but watching hockey. But no, it's really exciting, and I think what's been so fascinating about this Eastern Conference race is that when you feel like one team is going to run away with it, they choke, and then another team steps up and has a chance. So, it's funny, a team like the Philadelphia Flyers, who had the third position in the Metropolitan Division for a majority of the season, go on an 8-game losing streak. It seems like they're out of the count. Then last night they beat the Rangers 4-1, surprisingly, and all of a sudden they're back in. So there are 5 teams right now in the Eastern Conference battling for 2 spots. The Islanders are in third in the Met, and the Penguins are in the second wildcard spot. And I do think those 2 teams will be the 2 that come out of it. But the schedules are so difficult as well. Like the Capitals tomorrow, they play the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think the Islanders have a tough game against the Rangers tomorrow. The Penguins, I think, play the Bruins, the Predators, and then they actually finish their last game of the season against the Islanders. So that last game of the year, Islanders-Penguins could feel like a Game 7, a win-and-get-in type of game. And the same thing with the Capitals and Flyers. They play each other in the last game as well. So it's going to come down to the last game of the season for those 4 teams probably. And then a team like the Detroit Red Wings has a back-to-back against the Montreal Canadiens, who is a team that they should beat. So Detroit, to me, is the interesting team to watch. I think they could be the one that squeaks in, even though they've been a little bit more inconsistent. But, I mean, this thing is up for grabs fully right now. The Islanders had the edge just because they're 1 point from clinching. But it's going to be exciting hockey to watch this week for sure.
So coming up at 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern time, Johnny, we get Predators and Blackhawks. I want to bring this up because Preds are pretty big favorites, but they've clinched a playoff spot, and they're not going to grab one of those top 3 divisional spots, right? I mean, they're pretty far back from Colorado. So what do you expect with teams like Nashville, who are kind of seemingly locked into this wild card spot with not much to play for? Are they worth this price at this point of the season, or do you see maybe some guys to rest? How do teams handle it generally in these positions?
Yeah, I would always avoid the teams that clinch and can't move because you never really know what the coaches are going to decide. Nashville is a perfect example of that. Tampa Bay is another example of that, even though there was a moment where Tampa could have caught Toronto for the 3rd spot in the Atlantic. But the only teams that I would really put money on is a team like the Rangers or a team like the Bruins that are fighting for first place in their division because they want to have home ice throughout the playoffs. You can make the case for Toronto as well because they're in a tight battle with, Florida. And instead of Toronto, because they want to have home ice as well. So you look at those teams that, really are playing for something. And there are a lot of teams too, like the teams that have nothing to play for, like Chicago and maybe like in Montreal, San Jose, Anaheim, those teams toward the bottom. Those are guys that are playing now that are playing for jobs next year. So it's not like they're playing for nothing. It's a lot of AHL call-ups, guys who get an opportunity, maybe a college free agent who gets his first NHL game. They're trying to prove themselves and leave a good taste in, management's mouth for the following season. So sometimes those teams, if they're heavy underdogs, those teams are worth taking too because they have a lot to play for, in a sense where a playoff team really has nothing to prove.
Johnny Lazarus joining us here on the Progressive Guest Line. He is our NHL analyst, and certainly with the playoffs around the corner, we'll be having Johnny on in a more opportune time when he's not out to dinner with his buddies from high school at a restaurant there in New York City where he's getting yelled at for wearing a hat. We got Vegas. They've got a chance to move up and potentially grab a spot in the Pacific Division bracket where they would face the Edmonton Oilers. They're 3 points back of the Los Angeles Kings, but they still have a game in hand, and tonight they get the Minnesota Wild, who've been eliminated from postseason contention. So you're paying a decent price, around minus 165 or so. You think Vegas, you like this situational spot against Minnesota tonight, and overall, what do you think of the defending champs heading into the postseason?
Well, Vegas was actually my play of the night tonight, and I took them to win in regulation because it was a little bit of a better price. But Vegas has lost 3 games in a row, all on the road. So they're back on home ice tonight. Probably feeling good coming home. Well, not feeling good because they lost 3 in a row, but feeling good to be back on home ice. Noah Hannafin just signed a big fat extension. Their captain, Mark Stone, was announced that he should be back for the playoffs. So the vibes, despite losing 3 games in a row for Vegas, are feeling pretty good. And, listen, Vegas is 3 points ahead of St. Louis right now. It's no guarantee that they're in. But this is basically must-win territory for the Vegas Golden Knights. And, Minnesota, sure, they don't really have much to play for, but they're dangerous. They have guys like Matt Boldy and Kirill Kaprizov that are really explosive offensively, and they could sneak up and win a game. And Marc-Andre Fleury, the original Vegas Golden Knight, he's got the start in net, so you think he'll be fired up to play in front of his old team, his old crowd. And, I do think Vegas has a lot to play for tonight, and they want to feel good, like we said, going into the playoffs. It's all about feeling good going into the playoffs. I think there's a lot to be said about that. A team like the Florida Panthers last year, they were technically the 16 seed, but they were winning a lot of games going in, and that's why they were able to go on that long run to the Stanley Cup final. So for me, I do feel good about Vegas. I think they're one of the best teams in the NHL, despite what the records might say. They've been a little bit unhealthy this year. But tonight is must-win territory, like I just said, and I think Vegas in regulation would be the good pick there.
Johnny, anything wacky happen in these matchups between teams that are already eliminated? We get Calgary and Anaheim later today. Do they play a little bit looser? Do we look toward overs? Is there anything that you can kind of put your finger on with some of these teams that have nothing going on?
As far as tonight goes, what's funny? The Arizona Coyotes have been playing pretty well lately, and I know there's been a lot of drama surrounding them with the team moving to Utah, and there's been a little bit of outside noise about, not being able to keep a team in Arizona. But these guys are playing pretty fired up. They had a big win in Vancouver the other night in overtime. They've been scoring goals. Connor McDavid skated today. I'm not sure if he's playing tonight. I still think he was questionable, but an over in that game is pretty interesting. Edmonton's obviously one of the better offensive teams in the NHL. The goaltending's been a little bit questionable. So I would like the Arizona and Edmonton game. I would take the over in that one. That's going to have a lot of offense in it, especially with Arizona having guys like Clayton Keller. Dylan Gunther had a 4-point night the other night. So they're feeling pretty good over there. So I would lean toward that over in that game.
All right, Johnny, before I let you run, who you got tomorrow, Boston College or Denver in the national championship?
Boston College is probably the best college hockey team I've ever seen play in my life. If they lose, it'll be a huge disappointment. So I'm going with the BC Eagles. Even though Denver's not a team to sleep on, they've won 2 big overtime games in the tournament, and they've won a lot in the past 10 years. But BC, this team is loaded up front with guys like Cutter Gauthier, Ryan Leonard, Will Smith, and Gabe Perreault. They're the team to watch. Thank you for bringing up college hockey. It needs more attention, and I think the Eagles come away with the championship.
All right, there it is. Johnny Lazarus, appreciate it, Johnny, as always. Make sure you check out all of his work. Hey, man, national championship tomorrow. You got to fired up for it. 3 o'clock Eastern there in St. Paul, Minnesota. Boston College minus 240 on the money line.
Thanks, Johnny. Yep,
Yeah.
I would agree. Even I have nothing on it, so yeah, I would agree.
All right, bellies ready. Pimento cheese, first ever. Looking forward to it. We're going to do that top of the hour.
Getting some pushback here.
Uh-oh.
Social media.
Oh, yeah. So we didn't say. We forgot. So we put together all of the all 5 of the favorites. Knicks, all 8 of the double-digit favorites. We put them in a money line parlay. Knicks, Lakers, Nuggets, T-Wolves, Thunder, Heat, Mavericks, Clippers. First time in 30 years we've had 8 double-digit favorites in the NBA in one night, according to Evan Abrams. So I put them in a money line parlay at plus 150. What could go wrong?
I will say that, Munaf Manj checked in too. Go ahead.
He says Bucks outright.
Yeah, The Oklahoma City Thunder did make a bunch of G League guys active today. So
oh no! Ben on Twitter says the Knicks will mess it up for me.
Let's see. Let's make a poll here. All right, so we got one call for the Bucks, one call for the Knicks.
Who screws up the chalkiest chalk money line parlay in the history of chalk? Also, how was a pimento and cheese sandwich? I don't know. We'll find out next.